Visceral fat is the most dangerous type of fat that's on your body. Unlike the fat that you can pinch under your skin, visceral fat is the fat that wraps around your organs, wrecks your hormones, and unfortunately is silently destroying your health. I appreciate that's a bit of a bleak start to a video, but don't worry, because the good news is that you can burn it off, and if you know what you're doing, you can burn it off fast, or without crash diets or endless cardio. So in this video, I'm going to cover why visceral fat is so dangerous, how to tell if you've got too much of it, and then most importantly, the exact steps you can follow to burn it off in 30 days. These are the same strategies that I developed to lose 50 pounds myself. Since then, I've used them to help my clients get amazing results like this. And I could go on, but hopefully you get the idea. So turn off your notifications, full screen this video, get comfortable, and let's lock in that. So what exactly is visceral fat, and why should you be worried about it? Visceral fat is the fact that you can't see. It's deep inside of you. Pause. It wraps around your liver, your pancreas, your intestines, like a parasite clinging to your organs. And the really scary part is not just sitting there, it's actually active. You see, visceral fat is constantly pumping out harmful chemicals called cytokines, which trigger chronic inflammation throughout your body. It's like a slow-burning fire that never goes out. Actually, wait, that said, that's a terrible analogy because now you're thinking about being sat in front of the fire on a cold winter's night with your slippers on. This is not like that. Okay, better analogy. Okay, I've got one. This is like toxic sludge leaking through your body. It's poisoning your organs, damaging your blood vessels, and wrecking your hormones. With visceral fat, your body becomes a breeding ground for disease. Your risk of heart attack and stroke skyrockets because inflamed arteries clog up faster. Your insulin sensitivity crashes, setting you on a path to type 2 BTS. Your testosterone tanks, killing your energy, your drive, and even muscle growth. And if that wasn't enough, visceral fat has been linked to certain cancers, dementia, and liver disease. And here's what makes it so dangerous. I mean, if that wasn't already making it dangerous enough, you can be thin and still loaded with visceral fat. You can call it toffee, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. So if you're sat there with a smirk on your face, wipe it off. Just because you're not overweight, it doesn't mean you're in the clear. I've seen guys who look fit but have visceral fat levels that are through the roof. And the worst part, visceral fat often gives no warnings. And that's why it's called silent fat. You see, there's no pain. There's no obvious signs, until one day it's a heart attack, a diagnosis, or a serious health scare. And here's the truth that unfortunately most men don't realize. Visceral fat doesn't just hurt your body, it saps your energy. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. Your mood dips and you feel irritable for no reason whatsoever. Your workouts are flat, your libido completely gone. It steals your edge without you even noticing it. But let me tell you something that's important before you jump on the treadmill, because this is where most guys go wrong. You can't out-exercise visceral fat. You can't just do more cardio and hope it disappears. I've worked with men who are training hard and still had dangerously high levels of visceral fat. Because visceral fat isn't just about how hard you train, but it's more about how you live. Now, the good news is, once you understand what's causing it and how to spot it, you can turn it around fast. And that's exactly what we're going to cover next. So how do we end up with this toxic sludge that's clinging to our organs? Well, the short answer is your lifestyle. The longer answer, well, let's break it down. Because most guys are accidentally building visceral fat every single day without even realizing it. First up is your diet. I know, shocker, but it's not just about eating too much. It's about what you're eating too much of. Ultra-processed foods, sugary snacks, and boozy weekends. Basically the good stuff. Unfortunately, these foods spike your insulin and shove your body into fat storage mode, especially around the belly. Next, we've got exercise or lack thereof. The hell, some guys are skipping workouts altogether, but others are training every day and still packing on visceral fat. Why? Because they're doing it wrong. Endless cardio with zero strength training. That's a one-way ticket to losing muscle, to crashing your metabolism, and storing more fat around your organs. More and more these days, I've had conversations with men who say they don't want to get big muscles like the bodybuilders. Let me tell you, you're not going to turn into the Hulk lifting pace 3 times a week. But what it is going to do is help you preserve whatever lean muscle you have and build a little bit more. And trust me, that's a good thing because no one wants to just lose weight. Now let's talk about a big one. Stress. Stress is like a fat magnet, and visceral fat loves stress. Why? Well, it's something called cortisol, which is your body's stress hormone. And when your cortisol is elevated, it's like pouring fuel on the visceral fat fire. Why am I so obsessed with what it's today? You know what it's like. When you're stressed, your plan goes out the window. You have a brutal day at work, and the next thing you know, you've inhaled a whole pizza. That's your cortisol talking. And if you're stressed all the time from work, bills, kids, guess what? You're in constant fat storing mode. Which brings me to the next big problem that we've got in society today, and that's sleep. I used to look at my health like a circle, like a little pie chart. Remember those from school? And this pie chart was made up of 3 parts. You had your movement, your nutrition, and your sleep. But the older I've gotten, and the more clients that I've worked with as the years have gone by, the more I've realized that health is actually more like a pyramid. And sleep is the foundation of that pyramid. You see, when you don't get sleep, your body becomes a mess. But you don't need me to tell you that because we've all been there. Maybe you're there right now. I get it, and it absolutely sucks. Your hunger hormones spike, your cravings for junk food skyrocket, and your ability to burn fat is completely out the window. Plus, poor sleep raises your cortisol level, so you get a double hit, more cravings and more visceral fat. Oh, and then we've got alcohol. Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. Alcohol is basically liquid sugar with a side of bad decisions. It shuts down your body's ability to burn fat because your liver is too busy processing the booze. And if you're regularly drinking, especially beer, you're pouring more fat straight into those deep abdominal pockets. And you know something that's absolutely crazy about beer, which I only found out about last year? Oh, that rhymes. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know that. Beer is estrogenic. Yes, that's right, guys. The manliest man's drink is turning you into a woman. Not literally, but it is kind of crazy when you think that literally every single beer advert you have ever watched in the history of beer adverts contains a man drinking a beer. But that is the power of marketing. Here's a sneaky one for most guys that they miss age. You see, once you hit your mid-30s, your testosterone naturally drops. And when testosterone drops, it's like rolling out the red carpet for visceral fat. And if you're not doing anything to fight back, like strength training and eating the right foods, the visceral fat really starts to pile up. So to sum that section up, eating crap, moving less, stressing more, and then more, sleeping poorly, drinking too much, and letting your hormones crash as you age. That is the perfect cocktail for visceral fat. I appreciate it. I've given you nothing but bad news until now. So here's the good news. All of this is fixable. And in the next section, I'll show you exactly how to spot if you've got too much visceral fat, and then we'll talk about what to do about it. All right, so how do you know if you've got too much visceral fat? Because here's the thing. Most guys don't have a clue. They assume if I don't have a massive belly, I'm fine, right? Wrong. The most accurate way to measure visceral fat is having something called a DEXA scan, or an MRI, or a CT scan. But let's be real. You're probably not booking one of those in this weekend. You can't exactly roll up to the hospital and demand a CT scan because some guy on YouTube told you that you might have dangerously high levels of visceral fat. So here are some simpler ways to figure it out. First up, we've got the waistline test. So get a tape measure, wrap it around your waist just above the belly button. If you're a guy and your waist is over 40 inches, not good. Visceral fat has already set up camp there. But waist size alone isn't the full story, which brings me to the height to waist ratio. This one is even better because it accounts for your body size. Your waist should be less than half your height. So let me say that again. Your waist should be less than half your height. So let's say you're 5'10". I think that's pretty average these days. That's 70 inches, so your waist should be about 35 inches or less. If your waist is over 35 inches, that means you're carrying too much visceral fat. Next, we've got the body shape check. So if your stomach feels hard and round, like a bit like a bowling ball, that's a classic sign of visceral fat. If it's soft and squishy, not great, but that's more subcutaneous fat, which is far less dangerous. But if your belly sticks out, even when you're sucking it in, yeah, that's the visceral fat talking. Here's another big clue. To be honest, I think the biggest clue. If you're going to have your energy in your cravings, if you're constantly crashing after meals, if you're always craving sugar, if you feel tired, sluggish, and, brain foggy, that could be a sign that visceral fat is messing with your insulin and your hormones. And lastly, look at your health markers. If you've got high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or you're pre-diabetic or insulin resistance, these are often the things that go hand in hand with visceral fat, even if you're not overweight. So if any of these are hitting home, pay close attention, because visceral fat is like carbon monoxide. It's invisible, it's silent, it's deadly. So now that you know how to spot it, you can beat it. And that's exactly what we're going to go into next, because in the next section, I'll show you the exact steps to burn off the visceral fat, and most importantly, to then keep it off for good. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. This is the part that you've been waiting for. How do I actually burn off the toxic sludge, the visceral fat? Those guys are going about this completely the wrong way, whether it's starving themselves, following extreme diets, or hammering the treadmill for hours, because visceral fat needs a different approach. So here's the action plan, no fluff, just what actually works. Step 1, we want to eat smart, not less. You don't need some crazy diet with 57 rules. You just need to eat in a way that stops your body from storing fat and starts burning it instead. And here's the simplest way to do that. Number 1, we want to prioritize protein and fiber and cut back on the ultra-processed white protein because it keeps you full, protection muscles, and boosts your metabolism. Most guys eat nowhere near enough protein, so make sure we've got some protein on your plate at every single meal. I'll put the best sources of protein on the screen right now. So think Greek yogurt, eggs, chicken, steak, fish. Real food and fiber is easy fruit and veg. Find a couple you enjoy and have them daily. It doesn't matter if they're fresh or frozen. It doesn't matter if you have them with meals or having some snacks in between meals. But this will make a huge difference, just like protein fiber fills you up. But it also helps your digestive health and your gut health. Okay, now carbs. First off, yes, you can eat them. In fact, you should be eating them, and you should be eating a lot of them. But what we want to do is focus on whole carbs, like potatoes, rice, and oats. And let's talk about sugar, because sugar is visceral fat's best friend. You don't need to cut it out forever. But if you want results fast, cutting sugary drinks or junk for the next 30 days will do more than any fat-burning supplement ever could. Now, I could obviously go a heck of a lot deeper on your diet, but the simple principles I want you to take away from this video are to prioritize protein and fiber, eat meals that are made up of whole nutrient-dense foods, which are quick and easy to make, and most importantly, make sure that you're including treats and snacks that you enjoy every day. Because if you don't do that, all of this is going to unwind very quickly. You're going to feel too restricted. And the last thing you want to do is give yourself a restrictive diet. Because if you don't enjoy your food, it feels like a chore. So simply follow the 80-20 rule, where you get 80% of your food for function and 20% for fun. So whether that's low-calorie ice cream, zero sugar, soft drinks, switching milk chocolate to dark chocolate. Those are just a few examples that I can think of at the top of my head. Okay, step 2, strength training 3 times per week. The biggest mistake that I see men make when it comes to exercise is that they're doing it to try to burn calories. Forget burning calories, focus on building muscle, because more muscle means a faster metabolism, which means you burn more fat even when you're sitting on the couch. And don't worry, as I said, you're not going to wake up like the Hulk. Hit the gym 3 times a week. Focus on big compound moves that work multiple muscles at once. So things like squats, deadlifts, push-ups, rows, overhead press. Then you want to make sure that you're lifting lighter weight than you normally do, but with better form. This means you can do more reps and you don't need to take as much rest time, so you can really up the intensity of your sessions. And of course, it means you're far less likely to get injured and have to take time out of the gym, which is going to completely knock all of your momentum. And at the end of the day, if you're getting a little bit stronger every week, you're winning. All right, step 3, and it is a biggie. Walk every day. I cannot emphasize this one enough. I've done 2 whole videos about cardio and walking in the last 10 days, so I'm not going to bang on about this one for too long. We're going to too much detail here, but I will link one of those videos at the end of this one if you want to watch that next. But here's the deal. Walking lowers your cortisol, boosts your metabolism, and helps you burn this real fat without stressing out our body. Now, the average American or Brit walks 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day. So if you can increase that to 8,000 steps, you'll burn 300 calories a day from walking, as well as getting the benefits that I just talked about. And 8,000 steps might sound like a lot, but you can do that in just over an hour. It's the easiest form of cardio, and it won't make you ravenously hungry like running often does. Step 4, sleep like your life depends on it, because it does. Remember how I said the sleep is the foundation of the pyramid of health? Well, here's why that matters. When you don't sleep, your body cranks up the cortisol and crashes your testosterone. And guess what? That combo is like throwing gasoline on that visceral fat fire. Here we go again with the fires. So here's the deal. Get 7 to 8 hours sleep. And if you can't do that, I really advise you to focus on improving your sleep quality. So here's a quick checklist. Make your room pitch black. Seriously, I'm talking like cave mode. Drop the room temperature down to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can, no screens, 30 minutes before bed. Yes, that includes strolling reels because it is so easy for us to forget just how powerful a couple of good night's sleeps can really be. Step 5 is an obvious, the very important one, and that is to manage your stress. But I'm not talking about quitting your job or moving to Bali. I'm definitely not saying you shouldn't move to Bali. If you can move to Bali, but you don't have to. Look, I get it. You are busy. But guess what? In reality, we're all busy, and you're all going to be busy for the rest of your life. Here's the reality that we all have to face into. If you're stressed 24/7, your body is constantly pumping cortisol, and cortisol loves storing fat. But you don't need an hour of meditation to fix this. So here's what I found to work best. Take a 10-minute walk outside every afternoon. No phone, just some fresh air. Try nays or breathing. It sounds ridiculous, but trust me, it calms down your nervous system. And for bonus points, magnesium, it's like the chill pill because it helps to lower your cortisol and relax your body. Another big hack, which I've actually only just discovered, is bilineal beat. I might not even be saying it right, but if you Google I think it's bilineal beat, and find the different hertz that you can listen to, that music cat actually insane, but can tap into certain brain waves and alter the chemical responses in your brain to help you to relax. I can say I've literally just discovered this last week, and it's a game changer. Step 6 is definitely going to make me the most unpopular man on YouTube, but I'm not here to win any popularity contest, and that's to cut back on the booze. I'm not saying you can never drink again, but if you're serious about losing some visceral fat and doing it fast, completely cut it out for the next 30 days. Alcohol messes with your sleep. It crashes your testosterone and stops your body from burning fat whilst it's processing the booze. And trust me, this is ironically the perfect cocktail for visceral fat. And plus, you'll save a ton of money and a month's worth of terrible decisions. When I talk about the terrible decisions when you're drinking, I'm not just talking about the terrible decisions at the time. I'm also talking about those terrible decisions that we all make the day after when it comes to our diet. Because you know what it's like. All of that motivation and willpower, all of those goals, they're all straight out the window. It's on Uber Eats. It's staying in bed all day. It's feeling sorry for ourselves. It's pulling ourselves out of a hole, which takes 3 days. Step number 7. Be consistent, but don't aim to be perfect. You're going to slip up. You're a human being, that's slight. But what matters is that you get back on track the next day, not waiting until Monday. The guy who gets the best results. They're the ones who mess up, but keep going anyway. They actually realize that failure is a part of success. Listen, it's very easy for me to sit here and say all of this to you, but it's just as easy for you to sit there and say, I'm going to start all of this tomorrow, but then tomorrow comes and you're busy or you're tired. So you put it off for a day and then another day. And the next thing we know, we're sat here in January 2026, and I'm saying the exact same thing to you. So just don't be that guy. I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but you will be amazed at just how much you can achieve in 30 days if you implement all the stuff that we've talked about today. And I'm not just talking about visceral fat anymore. I'm talking about your confidence, your energy, your sleep, your relationships, and even your bank balance. Getting healthy is the single biggest ROI thing you can ever do. So now that you're suitably hyped up and motivated, let's go through a quick checklist of what you're actually going to do. Number 1, you're going to eat more protein and cut the sugar. Number 2, you're going to lift weights 3 times a week. Number 3, you're going to walk every day. Number 4, you're going to actually prioritize your sleep. Number 5, you're going to cut back on the booze. Number 6, you're going to stay consistent even when life gets messy. Do that for 30 days and watch what happens to your belly and to your life. And if you want to get better results faster, then click the link that's underneath this video, and I'll show you how you can burn your belly fat and build t-shirt and stay hugging arms in time for the summer. Peace.